We went up and watched him at Dodge City. You ever been to Dodge, Don?
I don't think I've been through there, but I've been through Kansas a lot on driving to K-State and KU.
Okay. Yeah. We went up there and watched spring practice. They had a new coach, and so their numbers were way down. He didn't have his players in yet, and he was the best player on the field. And we weren't actually looking for a guy at his position, and it was simply one that who the heck is that? And then he told me he was from Lubbock, Texas. So it just worked out fine.
So you're there, just there kind of looking at the team in general?
Correct. I was there building a list for the following year, and we weren't targeting a player at his position. He just happened to be the best guy in the field.
Yeah, and then he found out he was eligible to leave when he needed to. And
Yeah, he simply wanted to come back home. Yep.
so on to special teams. What is kind of the priority this year for Trey and for Austin, given that they've kind of established and proven themselves?
Yeah, I don't. You can ask that question of them. They had a really good year last year. I think in our profession or in this program at this time, I don't know if there's three established people on this team. So they've got to compete every day. We have good competition at our specialists. And so their priority, to answer your question, is to just keep getting better every day. Seriously now, with the possibilities, what could happen week to week with all of our testing and somebody getting positive, I mean, every backup in this organization has to be ready to play because it probably will. And so, again, feel free to ask that question of those guys. I don't know if there's too many established people at Texas Tech right now.
With what you just alluded to, who would you say is who would back up Austin right now?
You bet.
Who would back up Trey?
Yep.
Who's looked the best?
Cody Waddell is our backup punter, and he's really solid. He's really gotten better. He has been here just as long as Austin, and he's really kind of made himself into a solid Division I backup punter. And then we've got two kickers, Garibay and Lozano, who are competing with Trey. And then the wild card in that is Garibay can also punt. So he's a pretty valuable backup at this point in time.
To what extent have you worked on return game yet?
Well, as much as the other units. So, I mean, every unit has gotten their fair share.
Do you have a leader as far as a punt return guy?
No, there again, it's until we start, we haven't done that. We have worked that extensively. We haven't done much live work yet. We'll do that as we get closer to the first game. And so we've got really quality depth. Fry has good experience from last year. He's just a really good athlete. Chooks, he can return punts. Zach McPherson, and then we've got some freshmen that are in the mix also. So we're pleased with our depth, and and again, to answer your question, we've worked on it. We're not battle tested yet. That'll come.
Go to Sam Kahn.
Sam?
Hey, Mark, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
I had a question about when it comes to coverage teams and recruit teams. Over the course, when you guys weren't together,
Yep.
what kind of things, could guys work on, when it comes to guys that you were targeting to be a part of coverage team, when they're on their own and obviously don't have access to, being with groups and stuff. What were some of the challenges that you had and maybe creative ways that you guys had to try to find ways for guys to work on stuff?
That question can be attributed right back to Dave Scholes. The workouts that Dave gave our guys, Dave is a really good football strength coach. So our guys don't just run to run. They don't just lift to lift. We train specifically for football skills. So for coverage units, we did a lot of change of direction work. We did a lot of drills in space. And again, now that's not me, okay? That's the Dave Scholes workout. So what he has them do equips them very well for what we ask him to do. I think every coach on the staff would tell you the same thing.
And since you guys have been back, I guess, how has that part of your units come together, your 4 phases on the coverage?
Oh, good. Good. Yeah, we've just with the the way that we were able to come back early, and have those 2 weeks of walkthroughs and that type of thing, that's invaluable for special teams. Because even though it's controlled speed, it still allows players to have field vision. And that's so much of special teams as we operate in such space. You just have to find players that can see and move in space. And again, we accomplished a lot of that in 2 weeks of extra work in special teams, or in the walkthrough phase. It was outstanding.
And with guys, in and out of practice, for various reasons, how has that impacted how you identify guys for your phases?
Well, I mean, it allows us to look at a lot more than you would in a traditional camp, if you will. And this is not going to be a traditional season by any stretch of the imagination. That's why you guys are looking at me on Zoom right now. So I think with the guys in and out of practice, it's really helped us to prepare a broader cross-section of this team, because again, come October, who knows who's going to be playing.
Go back to Don for a few more.
Yes, sir.
Following up on something you mentioned about the walkthroughs, Matt, way back like on day one of this camp, said that he liked those walkthroughs so much and thought they were such a benefit. He said he would kind of like to have some of those, even at the expense of a few spring practices. Since you've been around this game for such a long time, what would your thought be?
I would fully concur with his sentiments, because it gives us such a good preparation heading into fall camp. You feel like you're ahead. And I think the players would say the same thing, both physically and mentally.
Going back to your specialist guys for a moment, a year ago at this time, I think you probably had a pretty good feel for those guys, especially with Austin's reputation coming in. But how different is it now to have, someone who's a punter who's averaged 45 yards and a kicker who's made 20 or 22 field goals?
Yeah, here again now, I think we really want to be cautious. I just don't think we can take anything for granted. Yeah, again, last year was last year. And, those guys have to come in with an edge every day. And that's really not coach speak. If we were established as a program and we had been having All-American kickers and punters for the last 10 years, maybe this conversation is different, okay? Those guys are young kids, and God bless them. They better have a good day tomorrow.
Definitely gave me a lot of confidence coming in this year. Last year being a true freshman comes with a little bit of nerves, and I felt that last year a little bit. And so being able to have a good solid season to be able to build upon as well this year, that's really huge for me. And I'm super excited to play this year and just keep building up every single year. That's what I try and do, especially in the off season, is just get better and fix some stuff and just be better next year. So I'm looking forward to it.
Mentioning the nerves,
Mm-hmm.
what was the most, wow moment, or kind of when you looked up in all and saw a big crowd last year,
Mm-hmm.
and how did you handle that?
Well, I guess the first game, here in Jones AT&T Stadium, it was like, it's just crazy. I'm from Arizona, so we don't have, I guess it's not as big as Texas high school football is. And so coming here, obviously a big crowd was really cool, first of all. But and I remember my first punt, I was a little nervous. And usually after my first punt, I usually get my nerves out and I'm good the rest of the game. So it was definitely a little nerve-wracking to see everyone. But I, just kind of tried to keep myself calm and focus on what I got to do that game and settle in, and I was fine after that. So
many punters and kickers use consultants, kind of their own personal, coaches. Who is that for you?
So I think back home in Arizona, I have a coach, Mike Vanderjack. He was a kicker for the Colts. He was an All-Pro in 2003. He lives probably 45 minutes, actually 30 minutes from my house, and I've been training with him for the last 3 years. And so before I got here to Texas Tech, and so he's really taken me under his wing and really helped me kind of grow as a punter and also a kicker as well. And just kind of get better and work on the small things. He keeps it really simple, which I like, and he's been a major part of my success. And also going to camps like Chris Saylor and Jamie Cole, those guys are huge as well for recruiting, and then also just giving me tips and stuff and helping me get exposure. And yeah, so those are the guys. Those are definitely the top guys. So.
During this spring and summer, during the pandemic, were you able to get together with Mike Vanderjack again, maybe for any in-person instruction or not?
A little bit, yeah. So I got home, and we got back to work right at the beginning, and then we met a couple of times throughout the pandemic. I also went to Luis and Dejas. He's a coach. He works for the Cardinals right now. He was a kicker at ASU. His son Christian currently is a kicker there, and so he lives about 10 minutes from my house. So he opened up his backyard for all of us to use. And he's got uprights and like a 70-yard field, 80-yard field, and so he allowed us to kick back there when all the other high schools were closed. And so that really helped a ton, having a field and be able to kick with guys. We had to wear masks and everything and social distance and all that while we were kicking, but it was really fun to get with those guys from around Arizona and train together. And then, like I said, Mike was a big help as well in the off season. So.
Which one of those Phoenix suburbs does Mike Vanderjack, where does he live? You said he's about 30 minutes from
Yeah, he's Scottsdale, Arizona. That's where he's at. So.
So was there any, for as good as last season was for you, was there any element of your game that you did not feel was up to par that you feel like that you want to make improvements on?
Yeah, I'm always need to improve. I think definitely my placement, as far as like, where the ball ends up. I think I did a pretty good job. In high school, we didn't really focus on that as far as like putting it outside the hash or to the numbers. So that's kind of new for me still. So I've been working on that, especially in the offseason too, just getting the ball placement, wherever Coach Summerall and Coach Wells, tell me to put it. That was definitely something I need to work on as well, and be able to expand my rugby game a little bit more, be able to show different sides of that, just do my job and pinning guys deep. So.
Texas Tech used to have a punter that had lime green shoelaces and averaged 46.8 yards, Mark Bounds, 30 years or so ago. Do you have any kind of idiosyncrasies as a specialist?
Yeah, I'm hoping to get to that point one day. That's my goal.
He's asking if you have anything like shoelaces or anything like that.
Oh, no, I don't. No, I just kick the ball. That's pretty much it.
Cheers to normal guy.
Yes, sir.
No flexi personality or anything?
No, I just try and do my job. I guess that's pretty much it. I don't want to, overcomplicate. I just go out there and kick it.
That's what I was gonna say. Honestly, it just kind of built me like a foundation I can kind of build off of, and gave me a bunch of confidence. So when I'm stepping on the field, it's like I'm more going to have fun and I have a job to do rather than just going out and hoping for the best. And that's what last year really did for me.
Answer that
And
again.
Matt.
Sorry, I had it on mute. Sorry.
So last year, what it really did was just lay a foundation for me, and I was able to build off of that with confidence, and it makes me have more fun when I go out there instead of going out like I just have a job to do. It's like I'm going out there to help my team and represent Tech, so it makes it fun for me.
How have you kind of filled your off season? How much work have you been able to get in, and where and with whom did you do it?
So I've been able to work a lot in the off season. Obviously we had this big gap. So back home in Houston, I've been able to work a lot as much as I needed to. Our high school stadium's been open the whole time, so I've been able to get out there and get work in, make sure I'm in line and everything. So I was good to go when I got back up here.
Kind of like I asked Austin, what kicking consultant or consultants have you worked with, or do you work with the most?
So my kicking coach, I've been with him since 7th grade, and his name is Nick Gatto, and he's out there out of Klein, Texas. He went to the same high school as me. He kicked at Arkansas State, and he was in the Arena League for multiple years, and he did real good there. And most people know him as the one-arm guy. So he's been training me since I was 12. And still, anytime I get a chance to go home, I get with him at least once or twice and correct small things and get going.
Go to Carlos for a second.
Kind of along what Don was asking, I guess for you, everyone can look at the numbers, 20 of 22 or anything like that, but from your perspective, maybe some some of the finer points. I guess what have you looked at to make yourself that much better? Not necessarily from a number standpoint, but maybe from a fundamental standpoint or something that can make your confidence build a little bit more every time you kick.
So from a statistical standpoint, you can kind of look at it and think, oh, like that's impressive, that's good. But for me, what helps me do better is look at it as one kick at a time and just go one for one instead of looking at it as, all right, if I make this, it makes it this and this and this, which hash. Just instead of that, just kind of make it a simple game and just go one for one, and then situationally help the team out. And obviously last year was a good year, so high standards, so we got to keep it going.
Along those lines, every time you go to kick, is there anything you think about, or is it just kind of like what Austin said? Sometimes he just goes out there and kicks, and the fundamentals just kind of come to you.
So when I practice, I'm thinking more form and form technique wise. But in a game, I'm really just line up, try to hit a good ball, and then just keep it simple. I'll just line up, square up, and just kick it instead of thinking, oh, I need to do this with my hip or this with my foot. I just go out and just think, line up, square up, kick it.
Last one for me. I know the coaches have obviously taught you plenty here at Texas Tech, but for you, what was the biggest jump you made when you had previous coaching, and what really helped you maybe take that next step to where maybe the colleges were looking at you, or maybe someone else had an eye on you at that point?
Well, in high school, what really made people stand out was their huddle film if they had big kickoffs or good field goal stats. And for me, what got people looking at me was big kickoffs going out the back of the end zone, not like non-returnable kickoffs that people couldn't get. And that's what people started seeing me for. And then when I first got offered by Tech, that's when everyone else kind of lined up.
All right, we'll go back to Don real quick.
Last year, I forget whether it was during the season or this spring, Coach Tomerdahl was very complimentary of your mental toughness and approach from that standpoint. He said you're a guy who was very, he liked your mental game. He thought that you were strong in that way. Where does that come from for you?
So high school, I let my emotions kind of get in the way a lot, and what I've learned that helps me the most here at the NCAA level is just kind of stay in a straight line, make a kick, get ready for the next one, miss a kick, don't worry about it, get ready for the next one, don't flinch, and that's the biggest thing that's helped me out.
So you kind of turned the page in that regard from how you were when you were 16 or 17?
Yeah, when I was 16, 17, I was honestly more nervous than I am here because there I was so worried about getting colleges to look at me and getting an offer and finding a home, but now it's like, I'm here, I'm in the homeland, I'm ready to go, let's get it going. I don't really have anything to worry about anymore but my job.
And I can't remember, I should remember this. Have you gotten a scholarship yet based on what you did last year?
I got it Christmas Day.
Okay, this
29.
past Christmas.
Yes, sir.
What was that like for you?
It was awesome. I mean, being a walk-on's big struggle. I mean, just trying to find money for rent, and then to find out I got all my tuition paid for. I don't have to worry about books anymore, and then I can get my rent paid. It's a really, really big relief. A lot of weight off my shoulders, and now I can focus on academics and making sure football is ready to go. And it just, like I said, just takes a lot of weight off my shoulders.
They did the presentation the other night with Xavier. What did they do? How did you find out you were getting placed on scholarship?
So it's about noon on Christmas Day. All my family got there. We're sitting in the living room. I was hanging out with my nephew and nieces, and my mom walks in the living room with the phone on speakerphone and hands it to me. Here, what's up, stud? And I was like, oh, that's Coach Wells. I look up and my brother's recording me. I'm like, okay, I know what's going on here. You guys ain't slick.
Going back a little bit to when you were in high school, what was your path to Texas Tech in terms of recruitment? What were your options, and how was that connection made, and then how was that decision made on your part to come here?
So my top schools were University of Houston, University of North Texas, UMass, and Tech. Tech was my first initial preferred walk-on offer, and they were always in the back of my head because my brother came here. He was here when Crabtree was here, so I came up here as a kid, and I loved Lubbock as is. And then I was on an official visit at North Texas, and they brought in a kicker also on an official visit. So I'm like, okay, so they're not even only looking at me. And then I'm in the bathroom getting ready to go do something. I get a call from one of the coaches on the old staff, and he's like, hey, you still want to come up here? I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to go to Tech. And then U of H, just didn't work out. So really happy I made the choice to come here.
And you mentioned your brother, so he was here as a student?
He was here as a student, yep.
Okay, not part of the program?
No, sir.
As a student. What's his name?
Chris Wolf.
And so none of those schools that you mentioned earlier, nobody offered you a scholarship out of high school then, is that correct?
UMass offered me a full scholarship, and then I had multiple D1 AA's, FCS programs that offered me partial scholarships and stuff, but I'd want to go somewhere where there's a good amount of fans in the stands compared to the 6A high school here in Texas.